start with the first verse. I'll chant it again and we'll touch on that at the beginning and then we'll move on to the second. We just introduced it the last time. So the first verse goes like this. Bhaja Govindam, Bhaja Govindam, Govindam Bhaja Mudamate, Samprapte Sanihite Kale, Nahi Nahi Rakshati Dukrani Karne, Bhaja Govindam, Bhaja Govindam, Govindam Bhaja Mudamate. So from your notes I sent, it says worship Govinda, seek Govinda, seek Ishvara. These are all synonyms, meaning believing in that. When we say Ishvara, Ishvara is not a specific deity. Ishvara is the concept that there is a supreme power. That's why I use the word Ishvara / God. It's different from the concept of God, who has a particular looks a certain way, that is either male or female, and that is in a specific place called heaven or not heaven, whatever the case may be in other traditions. Ishvara is different from that. Ishvara is without form. You haven't given it a form yet, and it's neither male or female. Above that, we use the word Brahman, but for our purposes, we stick with the word Ishvara. So seek Ishvara, meaning seek that power. There's something more. And in the end, I will tell you at the last class, but I'll give you a hint, that Ishvara that you're seeking is not different from you, the self. That is why when you seek the self, you're actually seeking, quote unquote, God. You're seeking Ishvara. Because this in Vedanta is called Jiveshwara Aikyam. Jiva, which we consider yourself to be Jiva, and Ishvara, Aikyam means oneness. And it's not about you will become into Ishvara, it is you already are. You just don't recognize it at this moment and have to be convinced. Just like the story of the lion, I had to be convinced that the lion is not a sheep. I'll tell you that story later in the question and answer if you have a question on that. So it's more about knowing it's what you call praptasya prapti, gaining that which you already have, but you don't know you have, as opposed to apraptasya prapti, trying to gain something. I don't have this money, I don't have that status, I don't have that car. Those are things I know I don't have and I'm trying to get. That's apraptasya prapti. I'm trying to get that which I don't have. But this here is praptasya prapti, meaning trying to gain that which I already have. How can you gain which you already have? You're looking for that which you already have because you don't know you have it already. You don't know you're that. So here, getting back to this, he says, seek that Ishvara, seek yourself, Atma, O deluded one. When the time comes, meaning death, grammar rules will not save you. So this is referring to he's speaking to the 87-year-old grammarian scholar, Pandit. And it's, when I say grammarian Pandit, to master Sanskrit will take lifetimes. So this is somebody you have to give a lot of credit to that did something very worthwhile. So he's not doing it in mockery. He's just prioritizing what should be done. So he's saying to the old man, replace Dukrini Karne. Dukrini Karne represents Kru. He was studying Dukrini. Krin is the Sanskrit root for doing, Kru. From Kru you get Karoti, to do. So what he is saying is replace that Sanskrit effort of learning more Sanskrit. At this time, you're already a scholar. But you know, in Sanskrit, when you study from the root Kru, you can get 1,000 words coming out of it. So when you're studying, there's thousands of Sanskrit dhatus, you call them, root, where you can build words from. So Sanskrit is not a language where you can actually write a dictionary and cover all the words, because once you know the grammar rules, you can create new words. It's a very unique language. That's why it's used for computer technology, etc. today. Anyhow, so he's saying at this time that Sanskrit grammar won't help you. It has already helped him probably, but at 87 years old, he's saying change instead to seeking something that will do you much more good. Seek moksha. What it's saying here is to be clear about the priorities of your life at your various ashramas. This person is at 87 years old. And when we break up our life into ashramas, you have let's say we do 25 years each ashrama. You live for 100 years. Brahmachari, which is a student, you're not married yet and you're learning. Your parents provide for you, the university, you go to school, you're not working, you don't have means of income, you're studying. Grihast, you get married, you produce wealth, you have jobs, etc. And then that takes you 25 to 50. Then Vanaprasth, which is from 50 to 75. And remember, it's not going to be exactly that, but I'm just doing it as a model because you can skip stages and right away go from brahmachari to vanaprasth and sannyas. But let's say vanaprasth is from 50 to 75. When you start, Veda says when you start to see the gray in your hair, give over your business and slowly reduce what is called port. If you remember this, you remember port. P is reduce your possessions. O, reduce your obligations. R, reduce your relationships. Not saying stop paying attention to your family, it's saying reduce your relationship. Instead of having to deal with the whole community and everybody else and 1,000 relationships that keep you busy, reduce it. You did all of that in your grihast life. You were busy with everybody. So you have POR, relationship, and T, reduce your transactions. Once you reduce your transactions, it's kind of it's a retirement actually, retirement age. You realize that you have more time for yourself to study and there's less stress because stress comes from doing and being involved in all these things, in possession, in your obligations, in relationship, and in transactions. And then if you to take 75 to 100, then you do sannyasa. It means you've prepared the mind. During Vanaprastha, you would have already done. So until this time, what this 87-year-old Acharya, this 87-year-old Sanskrit grammarian, was spending his time with what we call apara vidya. So, see, there's a vidya means knowledge. Apara is this comes from Mundaka Upanishad and Bhagavad Gita. Apara means worldly knowledge, and para, you remove the A. In Sanskrit, if you have a word, you add an A in front of it, it becomes the opposite, right? So Paravidya means this highest spiritual knowledge, which is what Adi Shankara is telling him about. This is called Advaita Vedanta. It's called Vedanta Shastra. It's called Brahma Gyan. It's called Atma Gyan. It's called Brahma Vidya. This is Paravidya. Aparavidya is anything else other than that, such as learning Sanskrit, such as learning medical science, such as learning mathematics, anything else. But that is helpful in your life. But that won't help. None of the aparavidyas will help you at the time of death when you're getting ready to go for the next life. So there is a delusion here. Remember, we're in Moha Mudgara. It's about removing delusion. There's a delusion regarding education. Education is not necessarily wisdom. So what he's saying here is remove this delusion about knowledge, about the regular knowledge, apara vidya, this worldly knowledge. In Mundaka Upanishad actually qualifies it by saying it in the Mundaka Upanishad, apara vidya includes grammar, logic, which is nyaya, jyotisham, studying the stars, siksha, how to chant kalpa, how to do ritual science, biology, physics, maths, all of these things, And paravidya, which is spiritual knowledge, is for moksha. But you can't straight jump to moksha. It doesn't usually happen that way. So a paravidya is necessary, but don't spend all your life on it, because a paravidya will not give you that fulfillment that you're looking for. You can be the most brilliant scientist, you can have all the awards, or you can have all the knowledge about economics and earn and all these things, but you will still feel incomplete. It wouldn't give you that fulfillment. And then to cap it off, you need that para vidya. So what he's saying is don't spend your whole life on worldly knowledge. However great it is, there is a place for that. It's good for society, it's good for helping people. And included in aparavidya is meditation techniques, is studying Sanskrit, is studying Shastra, etc. But once you change it into paravidya, you're going straight to the heart, straight for Atma Jnanam. So everything else before that, the bhajans, the learning to play a harmonium, learning to sing, learning to learning music, learning meditation techniques, japa, all of these are preparation, or this falls under paravidya, or worldly knowledge that is good to, to help you get to aparavidya. So he's addressing this Pandit as Muda Mate. Muda Mate is one who's, a Muda is sometimes a word that's used as someone who's not thinking properly. Uh, like a murka, a mudha, a deluded person, really. One whose intellect is deluded is a Muda Mate, meaning your intellect is deluded about something. You're not clear about the means and the ends. You're not clear about the priorities in life. So he's saying, oh, deluded one, change your priority. So he's saying, Bhaja Govindam, choose Shreyas, as we mentioned before, which is same as moksha. That is the ultimate goal of life. Because it is stability. Choose stability. Shreyas alone, Paravidya alone is stable. That's a reliable or permanent anchor that can support you in life, because the rest has its benefit, the rest of knowledge, but it does not give you that fulfillment. And you know it's fleeting. You know, if you go to Haridwar, the current is so strong, and you want to take a dip into the Ganges. If you were to walk into the water there, and in some parts of Rishikesh, the water will pull you away. It is going so fast. So what they do is they put iron rails like a box, and you walk in the water, but you're contained within the iron rails in a box. So the water is going fast, but the iron rails is your anchor. That is, the water is moving very fast, but it's not going to take you away because you are holding on to the iron rails. Remember, the rocks below move because the water is moving so fast. The sand below moves. So this moving of the current, this is the current of life. It is always moving. All the events are moving around us. When we look around, there's nothing stable. So you need a stationary anchor to hold on to and to enjoy your life. So this flow of life that is not stable is unavoidable. It is caused by kala tattvam. Kala means time. Here he says kale. Kale, time. It does not stop for anyone. Nothing stays the same. Everything changes over time. People come and go. Positions come and go. Money come and go. Nothing will last forever. Nothing is stable. See, this world can give you three things, and the fourth one it cannot give you. This world can give you beauty, can give you a variety of things, and it can give you novelty, specific things that you don't find anywhere. So it can give you beauty, variety, and novelty, but it cannot give you stability. Think about that. So you have to hold on to something that gives you stability. As I said, the body comes and goes. This body is born, and this body will die. The body is not stable. It changes. In Bhagavad Gita, I believe chapter 2, verse 13, Dehinosmin yata dehe kaumaram yauvanam jara tata dehantara praptir dhiras tatra na muhyati. Muhyati here also is the same word, deluded. He says, Tatra na muhyati, dhiras tatra. Dhiras means the wise people. Wise people are not deluded. They are na muhyati. Na means no, not. Same muda, same root. So it's saying here, dehinosmin yata dehe kaumaram yauvanam jara. Just as this embodied being, you're the dehi, you're the one that lives in this body. And you go through these phases from kaumaram, yauvanam, jara. From youth, from childhood to youth to old age. And you can't stop that. So that changes over time. And you, the dehi, at the end of death, of course, passes on into another body. So the dhiraha, the wise people, are not deluded. Therefore, remember Govinda here. Seek moksha because it is na muhyati. Don't be like the Muda. Don't be deluded. Remember the word was Moha Mudgara in the last, the name of this scripture, right? The remover of moha. And as he says, the last verse, nahi nahi rakshati dukrini karne. At that time, nahi nahi rakshati. Raksha means to protect. Nahi nahi. Nothing can save you at that time. So that's what this verse is telling you. It is trying to remove your delusion about worldly knowledge or para vidya and say, go to Shreyas or go from apara vidya to para vidya. Go to this knowledge that is this which is stable, which you can hold on to. So verse 2, let's go to verse 2. And verse 2, he says, Muda, he starts with the word Muda again, which is, oh, deluded or dull-minded person, oh, deluded person. Muda jahihi danagama trishnam kuru sadbuddhim manasi vitrishnam yallabhase nija karmopatam vittam tena vinodaya chittam bhaja govindam bhaja govindam. And this verse is saying, O Muda, O deluded one, here's another delusion he's covering. First, we covered the delusion of worldly education, which is very important. I'm not saying don't go to school, don't learn. We're just saying know its place. It has its limitation. There's something more. So here, he's saying, give up your thirst, trishnam, for... Tan, can you bring me a cough drop? Give up your thirst for, to amass greed, and devote your mind to... Give me the other one. This one is burns. There's another one that's a brown one that has honey inside. He's saying, give up your greed to amass wealth. Devote your mind to dispassion and focus your thoughts on what? On this Govindam or absolute reality. Shreyas. So there's a popular word you might have heard by now, vairagya, dispassion. Remember I said when you get to that age of 75 or so, it's saying reduce. So that's dispassion. Reduce your P-O-R-T, reduce your possessions, obligations, relations, and transactions. So that's dispassion. That's have vairagya for everything else in the world. So here it is saying have some vairagya, give up your thirst to amass wealth. And the last part of this is very important. It says, be content, yalla base, that which you obtain by nija karmo patam. Be content with that which comes through your karma. Nija karmo patam. What comes by your action, that means you work for it yourself. Be content with that which comes through the actions you have performed. What do we mean by that? The actions you have performed in this life and the lives before. Remember, if you don't understand the reasoning of punarjanma or reincarnation, as we call it, you can't understand karma or prarabdha. A lot of life does not make sense. And in the question and answer, I can go into that about atheism and show you where atheism has to subscribe to this, and this is considered a Vedic concept. So you may say this is religious. But if it doesn't, there's a lot of unanswered questions. So we can go into that later. So here he's saying, be content with what comes to you through your actions performed by your own actions, by your own work, meaning in this life and before. I'll explain in the question and answer what that means. It's called prarabdha karma. See, so money, he's targeting money here. So don't be deluded by money. Money comes under what is called Arsha Purushartha. Artha Purushartha. There's four Purusharthas. In the end, you will end up as one Purushartha, but let's look at it as four Purushartha. Dharma, Artha, Kama, and Moksha. Artha is seeking wealth and security. I might have touched on this in the last class. So it comes under that. So he's saying at this age of to this 87-year-old person, at this age, and this is a lesson that not just to that person, it is a lesson to all of us. This was an opportunity for him to teach in general. He's saying, don't get deluded and spend all your time in Artha Purusha, in money, because it will not help you in the end. Now, what does he mean by delusion in money? There are two extremes of this delusion. One delusion is where people have this opinion that money is everything. And I'll show you that's a delusion. And the other delusion is where some people says money is bad. That's another delusion. They are both extremes. So let's look at the first one. Money is everything. That's the first delusion. When you look at it as the ultimate goal, you give money more importance than necessary. See, we know money is necessary. Money can do a lot for you. But what he's saying here is this money, whether you look at it as bad or money is everything, this will not solve your problem. This is a delusion that will restrict your happiness. Now, there's a simple way to see if money is everything and it will give you happiness. We have a logic called Anvaya Vyatireka in Vedanta. And that is a logic that follows where X is, there's always Y. If there's no X, there's no Y. So X and Y go together. So you can't find this Y without this X. Take the example of maybe a peanut allergy. When the peanut is there near to that person, the allergy comes. The allergy follows. The rash will be there. So if peanut is there, the rash is there. If the peanut is not there, the rash is not there. So if you say money will give you happiness, wherever there's money or whoever has money should be happy because it will always follow happiness. Or happiness will always follow the money, right? But that's a delusion because you know throughout your life, there are many poor people. You've seen this throughout your life. Many people, there are the exception to that. There are many people who are happy, but they are poor. And there are many rich people who are definitely miserable. And you can see for those rich people, they have a lot of money. And I'm not saying don't get money. I'm just saying don't go to that extreme. Money does not give them the contentment and security that they're looking for in money. The first thing is, if you look for security in money, you'll find that it actually makes you more insecure because you always want more. When you get 1 million, you want 100 million. So increasing your amount of money actually increases your insecurity, it doesn't decrease it. You don't feel more secure. And you know this. So what happens is your level of insecurity goes up as your money goes up. You all remember when you were younger, maybe you said, if I have 100,000 in my bank account, I'll take a break, I'm okay. And now that you have houses and cars and you have this and insurance and stocks and whatever, you say, you know what? If I get 500,000 and I can look at that sitting there in the bank and get my interest retired and all of that, I'll be secure then, I'll relax. Now remember, when you were a high school student, if you had 10,000 in the bank, you said, I can take a break. I can continue living, but I won't have this pressure. I'll be more secure. And then it went to 50,000 as you start to work. Then it went to 100,000. Then it went to 500,000, and it keeps going. So what goes up as your money goes up? You're afraid to lose any of that money. When you had 50,000, as soon as it goes down 1,000 to 49, you say, "Oh, let me find ways of getting back that 50,000." When you think your security is at 100,000, as soon as it goes down 5,000, you start to worry. Remember, I said earlier, when you get something, it's harder to keep it. It's hard to get it, and it's even harder to keep it. Now, when you get to a million, they ask the people who have a million, if they lose 50,000, something goes down, their stock goes down, or they have to do a big repair in their house or something, they get worried and they're back into, oh, I got to come out of retirement, I got to go work again. So what happens is your insecurity rises along with the amount of money you get. It doesn't decrease. So you look for security and money, but what you get is insecurity in the end. It cannot provide that. So that's the first one, that money is everything and money will give you happiness and security, fulfillment, etc. The second delusion is money is bad. There are people who may say, I'm a religious person, money is evil. And, I've even heard people say money is Maya. That is an absolutely incorrect term. That's a wrong interpretation of the word Maya. Money is just Maya that just makes you go crazy and spend all this money and get caught up in illusion. No, it's a wrong misinterpretation. Maya has a totally definitely different meaning. I remember someone telling me when I was a kid, and they quoted from some tradition. It said, and you all probably recognize it. It says, "It is easier for a camel to walk through the eye of a needle than for a rich man to go to heaven." Now that's not the needle that you use to sew. There's a place in supposedly somewhere in Egypt or somewhere where it is in the desert. There's two mountains there, and there's a small cave, so it looks like the eye of a needle. And camels, when they're walking, they can't bend their knees and crawl. So the camel is tall. A person might be able to walk through, but a camel cannot. So that's what they were saying. It was so difficult. It's easy for the camel to walk through the eye of the needle, which it means it's so difficult, rather than a rich man to go to heaven. So that's kind of like giving it the idea that money is terrible for your spirituality. I will show you, no, it's not that way. Not in Sanatana Dharma. See, so those are the two ways people look at it. If money is overestimated in its benefits, it's a delusion. If it's underestimated, it is also a delusion. So what's the solution? To have a balanced vision, like the one we should have in Dharma. Money may not be the final goal in life, but it is important. It's an important tool to solve many of your problems. Think of it like this. Money is like a shoe. If the shoe is too tight, it's too small, it hurts when you walk. And you constantly have to pay attention to it. Oh, every step you remember that your shoe is tight, it hurts. And if it is too big, it doesn't fit properly, and you have to drag it, you have to carry it. If you don't pay attention, you lose the money, you lose the shoe. You have to fetch the shoe, actually, just as you may have to protect or fetch your money. So money is like a shoe. If you have too little of it, like the shoe, it hurts, a small shoe. You have too much of it, it'll hold you back. But money is definitely important, right? Because money is what you need as the currency to convert to get your food, your clothes, your housing, your TV, or your car, whatever physical comfort you need. But keep in mind, money only goes as far as physical comfort to the stula sharira. Later on, I'll explain that I've done that in a couple of classes before, but we can touch on it later. Stula sharira, sukshma sharira, and karana sharira. Stula sharira is the body. So money can provide comforts for the body. Happiness is not based on the stula sharira. Happiness is an inner condition, a state of mind, a mental condition that has to do with the sukshma sharira. Likewise, security, feeling safe, feeling at peace, being secure in what you have, is an internal condition, has to do with the mind, sukshma shariram. And that can be developed with proper training. That's why we do meditation and japa and all these things in Vedanta classes. We'll delve into that later again. So money can only go as far as the stula sharira, whereas happiness and security has to do with the mind, the mental body, or the sukshma sharira. But money is definitely valid because money is supposed to be for your comfort and for noble deeds. A simple way to look at some of these noble deeds is what we call Pancha Mahayagna. I'm sure many of you heard of it before. Pancha means five, Maha means great, Yagna means sacrifices or things that you do that will bring you blessings or punya. They are Deva Yagna, which means what he's saying right here, worship God. Keep it simple here, worship God. Two, Pitra Yajna. Pitra means the ancestors. See, we sometimes we need to change the word from worship to sacred. Have reverence for. Have reverence for, have, consider God sacred. Now we do Pitru, our ancestors, consider them sacred. Have reverence for them. Take care of them. How do you do that? Senior citizen centers popping up all over. That's what they're trying to do. In our culture, you took care of your ancestors. Rishi Yajna. Rishi are the sages that gave us all of this knowledge, all of the science that we knew. Even modern science is included in Rishi Yajna because surgery was there from Sushruta thousands of years ago. Studying the stars were there. So many things. Rishis gave us mathematics. So many things were there already that we considered modern science. It's actually old science. So Rishi represents their Arsha, means knowledge. So study worldly knowledge, which is what we mentioned as earlier. Study all of these things that will be beneficial. So do good to the rishis. Remember the rishis? Rishis represent the pandits, the holy people, the sannyasis also, and it represents the knowledge. So hold them as sacred and have reverence for them. Take care of them. Just as you take care of your parents, grandparents, pitrus, etc. Then it says Manusha Yajna, the fourth one. Manusha means being, human beings. Take care of all of the human beings around you, regardless of whether they're religious, non-religious, believe in God, the atheist, doesn't matter. It's saying Manusha. Various religions, it doesn't matter. Various cultures, various races, doesn't matter. Manusha, people of the world. And Bhuta Yajna is taking care of all other beings. They separated here so you can see the importance of it. Bhuta Yajna means animals, fishes, birds, the environment, snakes, worms, everything has its place in the habitat. When you take out one, the rest suffers. We know that. The trees, everything. Bhuta Yajna is included in that. So money is needed today, and money has always been needed to help accomplish that. Let's say you wanted to build a temple. What do you need money. Let's say you wanted to do a yajna. You wanted to have a good second room for your parents. You need money, or a big house, or a senior citizen center. You need money to study, for schools, education, books. All this rishi yajna, you need money. Manusha yajna, to give charity, to take care of people, to give them food, clothes, and housing, and other things that they need, the unfortunate ones. You need money. Bhuta yajna, to take care of the environment, keep the place clean. You need money. So those are the noble deeds, and those are the first step in karma yoga. If you can do those, you're already practicing to be a karma yogi. You're already practicing part of karma yoga there. So money is meant for your comfort. Of course, you're supposed to enjoy your life. So it's good for your comfort and for the noble deeds, Pancha Mahayajna. So in summary, verse 2 is saying, don't have a delusion about artha, wealth, because don't look at it as everything, because it will not give you peace and happiness and fulfillment. Money is a means to an end. For a spiritual purpose, it is a tool for Panchamahayajna, for noble deeds, for karma yoga. So just as a review to cap verse 1, verse 1 was about education. Worldly education is not the end in itself. It is for spiritual education. Aparavidya should lead to Paravidya. And you can't do one without the other, because you can't just wake up one day and go straight to Paravidya. You need preparation. So worldly knowledge is to prepare you for spiritual knowledge. And this worldly knowledge, or aparavidya, includes all the karmas and practices, meditation and study, etc., japa, that will give you antakarana shuddhi, which is necessary. That means a little purity of mind, so to speak. Antakarana inside, shuddhi, purification of the mind, uh, before you can actually get deeply into paravidya. Because imagine if your mind is wandering here and there and you're caught up in so many things and you can't process the information, you won't do good in Vedanta. You need to prepare. And that's what meditation and all these things are there before as Paravidya. And then you get that Paravidya, which is spiritual knowledge, and that will give you peace, happiness, contentment, and security. And then the second verse is all about the illusion of wealth. So one is about the delusion about education, and the second one is about wealth. Deluded people think that money will give them happiness, contentment, and security. No, it won't. But then the other delusion is don't think it is not necessary.